Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Look at it again. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. I can still hear Grandma quoting that verse. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him. He will direct your paths. Look at verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. Why are those two phrases back to back? Because if I truly want to trust in God completely, my perception of things will undermine my trust. Perception has to be given to us by God so that we see the way he sees and we see what he sees. We see what he has promised before it comes to pass. That way our mental creative energies are directed towards the will of God and not warring against the will of God. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. All your heart is a place of absolute surrender. I have no personal interest in my own opinion, as I've stated. Well, Bill, we need to be free to think for ourselves. I get that, and I want to always be free in my thinking, but there's more freedom in his will than outside of his will. And so I want to think consistent with his liberty in me. I want to think consistent with his promise over me. I'm not a robot that is to be programmed by commands. But in a relationship, your thought life is the offspring of who you commune with. And I want to tap into the offspring, so to speak, God's inspired ideas over my life. So he says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. So it's a place of absolute surrender. Lean not on your own understanding. Why? Because your own perception of things is weak and misguided, and it will undermine what you've said you want from your life. That's the absolute trust and abandonment in Christ. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him. All your ways, acknowledge him. It's interesting. For us, the word acknowledge means Chris is in the front row. I walk in the room and go, hey, Chris, nice to see you. I haven't seen you all week. Good to see you. Glad you're home. What have I done? I've acknowledged, but that's not this word. This word is the word that means to come to know in an experiential and or intimate way. This word is actually used to describe, it's the verse in Genesis, and Adam knew Eve, and she conceived and brought forth a son. I mean, you understand, Adam didn't walk into the room and acknowledge, wave at Eve, hey, good to see you. Let's get together and move on. It wasn't that kind of acknowledgement. It was an experiential, it was an acquaintance. It was a coming together. This is interesting because God is actually giving everybody in this room an invitation to come to know him in all the different ways of our life. We have so many ways. We'd take all day to even try to listen, but let me give you a few. Family life, that's one of the ways that we have in our life. It's our relationships, our friends, that's a way. It's our financial life, that's a part of our life. It's our ministry, it's our church life. It's our mental health. It's our emotional health. It's our area of faith. It's our area of business or work, gifting. We have all these things. All these are ways in our life. And what happens is we may have an area of maturity. Let's say that you just have a grace on your life where you just know how to raise children. And your children are thriving, they're doing good, your spouse is happy, your family. Doesn't mean we never have problems, just you know how to weather them. You have a grace for that because you've come to know God in that part of your life. But when it comes to money, there's just constant fear, constant worry and anxiety. You know, worry and anxiety gives us the false sense of being responsible.